Greetings to you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Martin Masheka, well known as Engineer Shexa Martin. I welcome you to Shexa's YouTube channel, as well as to database management systems and warehouses. Today we are going to answer a number of practical questions, mainly concerning database management systems. And I would like you to follow as I do the practicals, because practice is the best, and it molds you, or it perfects your skills. So let me just show you the questions that we shall be talking about. We have this question which says, suppose that we have a relational database called DBCRM with the following tables. So these are the tables. We've got table customers, table complaints, table complaint resolve, and table users. And then just after it, we've got a number of questions. But what I shall do is, we have to analyze these questions, these tables, as we move, so that we get full understanding. We are not going to answer only the questions that are asked, but as we answer the questions asked, and using a case that we are given here of a database client relation management system, we are going to answer a wide range of questions that are not yet asked, and it's going to help us on how to answer such questions in real life, at work, at home. Some of you may choose to create a database for family use, so that you make data-driven decisions at home. You're having a small business, you may need to make use of databases to make data-driven decisions. Now let's look at the first two tables that we have here. But before we look at both of them, let's look at only one. As you can see here, the table is having these columns: customer ID, first name, surname, email, and national ID. And then it is populated with three rows. So as we look at this table, we can actually tell to say it was designed by somebody else, and it was populated with data. And that somebody else has chosen to have customer ID as their primary key. They have chosen to say customer ID is our primary key. But let's assume that we do not have this primary key. So you're saying the designer has just chosen to have customer ID as their primary key because it's already underlined. So any column that is underlined by one line is referred to as the primary key. So let's assume that we do not have this line. We do not have this line under customer ID, and say these are the tables that this is the table that we have. We're just looking at table customers. These are the columns that we have. We have customer ID, we have first name, we have surname, we have email, we have national ID. All of these are formulating a relation called table customers. Now, we want to choose one column that we can use as a primary key. What columns can we use as our primary key? So we can possibly use a number of columns as our primary keys, but some of them, they may not be used, or they may not have the characteristics of a primary key. So a primary key, it uniquely identifies all instances of an entity, and our entity in this case is a customer. In simple terms, what is it that we call an entity? An entity is a real-world object that can be defined by a number of properties, and those properties are the ones that formulate the attributes or the columns that we have in a table, and the table name is the entity. So here the customer is our entity, and the properties that define the customer are the attributes or the columns. Now, which of these properties can be used to uniquely identify the client? Can we use customer ID as an identifier or as a unique column to identify the customer? Yes, we can have use it, because it doesn't repeat, and each and every customer has got a unique customer ID. Then we go to first name. This first name is for a person, and we can have more than two Jameson here. We can have more than two Kempson. Some may say Jameson, some may say Kempson. So we have, if it's possible that we may have more than two clients with the same name, with the same first name, therefore it means that column does not fit to work as our primary key. So the first column that we have identified as one that can be used as a primary key is customer ID. Now we are adding it to the list of our candidate keys. So we have one candidate key. Then we go to the next one, which is surname. Can we have one surname? We may have two people from the same family. Therefore, we can have Mukange or Matambo or Maguraushe repeated. Therefore, we cannot have surname as our primary key. So it's not added to our list of candidate keys. So by the term candidate, it's a candidate. It's more like we have employees. We're having an interview for a certain position at an organization. Those that are attending the interview, those that are going to be interviewed are the candidates, but we choose one. Therefore, here we have customer ID. Email. Possibly we can use email because no two people or no two clients may use the same email. Therefore, email address is a candidate. To become a primary key. National ID. No two people can share the same ID. Therefore, it's a candidate. Therefore, we have three columns that we can possibly use as primary keys, right? So we have email, national ID, and email, national ID, and customer ID. So these are the candidate keys because they can possibly enforce entity integrity by uniquely identifying instances of an entity. That's why we have those three. So these three are the candidate keys. So from this set of candidate keys, that's where we choose the most relevant candidate. The most relevant. We are now choosing the best candidate to become our employee. If I'm to refer to the example that I gave you a few seconds ago. So we are saying we're having an interview. We are having interviews, and we are interviewing three candidates: customer ID, email, national ID. And here are the questions that we're going to ask. Can national ID be our primary key? One may say yes, but why can we have it as a primary key? One, because it can uniquely identify each instance. It can, no two people can use the same national ID. One can say that, right? And you can also agree with me. But there are other questions that may be asked, or that maybe there are some issues that may be raised. For example, one can say, what if a certain individual is representing two clients? Okay. Or maybe we can say in simple terms, what we are referring to as a customer may be organizations. They may be organizations. Although it might be very rare to have one individual representing two organizations, but it's possible we may have such a case. So we can say, if one person is representing two organizations, therefore it means that national ID is going to represent two customers. For instance, let's say we have Delta, we have OK, we have TM, we have CAD, we have Women's University, and for instance, Martin Masheka is representing Chino University of Technology, at the same time is representing Women's University in Africa. Therefore, this person's national ID may appear twice while representing two different clients. Therefore, this column can never, in this under these circumstances, cannot be used to refer to a customer. So we can say a national ID cannot be used to represent an instance of a client. Therefore, if we say a client represented by Martin, or maybe let's say represented by national ID 08055312825, which is my ID, can we have it and there appears more than one customer, then it means this column cannot uniquely identify each instance of a client. Same applies to email. Therefore, we are now eliminating this, although it's possible in some cases. But if the case that we are dealing with allows an individual to represent two organizations that are clients, then it means national ID is eliminated. Then we go to email. Because of the same reason, let's assume that one individual person is representing two clients that are organizations, and that person is using the same email. If that person is using the same email, then we cannot use email as a unique identifier for our database table here. But if an individual can use more than one email, in that case it's possible. So we are assuming that an individual can represent two organizations or more than two clients using the same email. Therefore, it may not be possible. But in this case, we can use email and national ID as unique columns or as unique attributes, even if we don't use them as our primary keys. Now we go to customer ID. Each customer has got its own ID. Therefore, every customer, be it CAT, Chino University of Technology, Delta, or KTM, if they are all our customers, each customer has got an ID which is unique and cannot be repeated for different clients. Then it means this customer ID is the most relevant one. Therefore, we can now say our customer ID is the most relevant column because it is representing the customer itself, be it an individual, be it an organization. Each and every customer that we have will have a unique ID. Same applies, just like, how people get their national ID cards. Each individual is given a national ID number. The moment we have a new client, we give that new client a new ID number. So that's how we now decide to say customer ID is going to be our primary key. So now this column is our primary key, enforcing entity integrity because it is used to uniquely identify instances of an entity. So our entity in this case is customer. So that's it for first table here. So here what we have talked about, we've talked about entity integrity. Entity integrity is enforced by a primary key. A primary key uniquely identify instances of an entity. Now that we have talked about, we have selected our primary key. Now that we have selected our primary key, those that were candidate keys, or those candidate keys that failed to be the most relevant candidates, are now referred to as alternate keys because they can alternatively enforce entity integrity by uniquely identifying instances of an entity. But if they cannot uniquely identify, for instance, if one person can be used or can represent two clients, in that case they are not alternate keys if they are eliminated, right? We cannot have email as an alternate key if it can be repeated more than once in our table, right? So we are done. We've talked about primary key, entity integrity, alternate keys, candidate keys. So we are done analyzing this, but we are not yet done because we have got data within our database tables. Now we are talking about domain integrity. When we are talking about domain integrity, we are talking about the data type, amount of space claimed by the data, the data format, expected values of our data. So if we're expecting a value that is less than 18, then it means that's our domain. These values exist within our domain. If we expect values that are above 18, it means we are accepting values above 18 as values within our domain. Now, data type. If I ask you, what's your name? What are you going to give me? You're going to give me text. What's your age? You're going to give me a number. What's your email? You're going to give me varying characters. Meaning to say you can give me one's email may read martinmasheka123@gmail.com. Meaning to say we have alphabetical characters, we've got numbers, we've got special characters. All of these are mixed within one column. Therefore, that's varying characters. But all of that is just a text. National ID, varying characters. So the data type is part of domain integrity. If I ask for your name and you give me date, then it means you are giving me invalid data. If I ask for your date of birth and you give me your name, it means you're giving me invalid data. We need to validate all those values that you're giving me, or that you're giving the database, or that you're giving to the system. So domain integrity talks about the data type. Is it a text? Is it a what? Is it a what? Is it a what? So when we talk about data type and it being a text, it being a text, I said a text, varying character, integer, float, double, and all those data types that we may have. We also need to know, if you are talking about varying characters, how many varying characters are we expecting? If you're expecting varying characters that are more than 128, for instance, we may choose to say, no, it's no longer a short text. Let's have it as a long text. Therefore, we can have it as a long text. But if we are asking, let's say, for your first name, are we going to have any name that has got 64 characters? What will be that name? Definitely, we rarely have such long names. Therefore, for names, we may have short text that is having characters ranging from 3 characters to 32 characters, or maybe 64 is a maximum. And then same applies to surname. So these, we may say, what type of data is this? This is what? Integers or whole numbers. Some database management systems, they accept number as a data type. Some, they accept integer. So you may choose to say this is an integer and it's having how many characters? Just 4, which is okay. And then we have first name, like I said, and surname. This can be short text, or we can just say varying characters. But how many names has got special characters? How many names have got numerical values? Very few. Therefore, we may just keep it as short text or just text. But the most relevant one, it's more like when you're talking about amount of space claimed by the data type that you choose, it tells us, or it tells the system to say, we are claiming that each record under this column is going to take this much in terms of space. So if you claim to say, for instance, I will normally give this example. If I claim that Zimbabwe is my farm and I only utilize 2 hectares, it means I'm wasting resources. Therefore, we need to claim a data type that that is going to be efficiently used in terms of space. So if we choose text, it means we are going to claim more space, of which we are not going to use that more space. Therefore, we waste space by entering little data while we are claiming vast amount of data space. Right, now we go to email. You can see email is having varying characters. Same applies to national ID. Therefore, it's variable or varying characters. But now we need to have a limit to say these varying characters within our domain, how many characters are we accepting as varying characters for email, varying characters for national ID. Same applies, I think, to the next table, which is table complaints. We've got complaint ID, which is the primary key, which is having variable numerical values and alphabetical characters. Therefore, we have varying characters. Then complaint date, definitely the data type is going to be date. And then we have complaint details. And on complaint details, you see that the complaints are very short, but we may find a customer that wants to say a lot, assuming that the complaints are being lodged through the system. One may say, I want to type a lot. If you want to restrict clients from typing a lot, you may choose to use a different data type. If they are going to type more like 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines, 128 characters or more, you may choose to use text. You may choose to use text. So domain integrity is talking about data type, the amount of space claimed by the data type that you choose, the format of data, and the expected values. You may have a constraint that say the content that we are uploading on this YouTube channel, we just need it to be accessed by people with age above 18. Meaning to say, when they are registering, we accept only those that have age above 18 to register. Anyone else we don't accept. Therefore, that's our domain. So that's all about domain integrity. And examples are there. If you talk about data type, you can just mention to say customer ID. If you talk about amount of space, you can just say I may choose to use integer there because it's that short. And then on first name and surname, why you choose short text, why you choose variable characters over there, and so forth. So that's domain integrity. Now let's now talk about referential integrity, which is the way in which tables are linked together through the use of a foreign key, which is a foreign key in one table and primary key in another table. So in our case, we have table customers. Table customers is linked to table complaints through the customer ID, that is a primary key in table customers, but foreign key in table complaints. So the designer of this database, I may say, forgot to underline our foreign key with 2 lines. So a foreign key is underlined by double lines to show that this is a foreign key. All right, so these values, you can see that we have them over there in another table. So we are linking these 2 tables, or we are referencing certain values from one table to the other table. For instance, I can say complaints are being lodged by the clients. Complaints are being lodged by the clients. So which client has lodged which complaint? So we can say, let's say we have only table complaints and we are reading the complaints. Who said expired, who received or who lodged a complaint about expired bread? Who bought or who got wet birthday cards? Who was given expired snacks? We can ask all those questions. But if we get the link, we can tell to say, oh, customer with customer ID 0001 got expired snacks. And we refer back to table customers and say, who is this customer with ID 0001? And we can identify that it's Mr. Mkange who got expired snacks. He was given expired snacks. So he complained. And this complaint came on the 13th of August 2022. Now, who lodged a complaint about expired bread? We can observe that it's a customer with customer ID 0003, and this customer is Maguraushe. Maguraushe came. We can get more details about the customer by just referring to the customer ID in its primary table. So the primary table in this case is table customers, and the secondary table in this case, or the foreign table, is table complaints, which is having the customer ID as a foreign key. But you can observe that another complaint was lodged on the 10th of February in 2022 by a customer with customer ID 0004 but we do not have that customer in our database. Maybe the customer was deleted or something happened to the customer. But this is what we call referential integrity. We are referring to the primary table, or we are referring to records within another table, the link between the two tables. So referential integrity is the way in which tables or relations are related or linked together through primary key and foreign key matching values. So in this case, referential integrity is not enforced if we have such a customer ID which is not in existence in the primary table. Right, let's now talk look at let's now look at our question here. The question is saying what? Using the relations above, explain the following terms. Now in your own words, we've talked about entity integrity. Give me the answer in the comment section right now. Give me the answers, your own answers in the comment section about question 1A item 1. Using the above relations, explain the following terms. So the relations above are these. You may pause if you want to make use of this part, and then give me your response. Right, you are done. By now you are done. So I will refer back to the entity integrity. So entity integrity is enforced by a primary key that uniquely identify instances of an entity. For instance, we have customer ID that was selected to uniquely identify records in table customers. Another example is complaint ID that is selected to be used to uniquely identify complaints lodged by the clients. That's that. Now, referential integrity. Give me your answer about referential integrity. Referential integrity. All right, we'll rush to the part that talks about referential integrity, the link between the two tables. I hope your answer is giving clear understanding of what we have here. Right, we've talked about domain integrity. You can type your own answer in the comment section. I will look at it. Right, now we are getting into the most interesting things. Right, so write SQL statements to create the tables below. All right, the video is a bit long now, so I hope I don't want my videos to be too long. So what I will do is I will just end here and leave this as section A or part A. We'll continue in the next video that I'm about to create right now. Thank you very much for having time watching this video, responding through comments, giving me likes, subscribing to the channel. Thank you very much. May God bless you. Let's meet next time.